Russia has repeatedly threatened the whole world with a nuclear attack. For Ukrainians, this topic is now not just the plot of a fantasy movie, but a real threat. Nobody knows whether such an option is possible, but before that, some of us were pretty sure there would be no full-scale invasion. My name is Catherine Litvinchova. You're listening to UA, The Day That We Survived podcast. This season's production is supported by the Embassy of the Czech Republic in Ukraine. The war started by Russia against Ukraine affects the whole world. Food blockade, price increase and energy blackmail are only part of the damage caused by the Russian Federation. We try to tell the stories of people who impress with their resilience. You can support our efforts as an independent media and a podcast platform on Patreon via the link in the description. In this episode, we want to tell how Ukraine reacts to the nuclear threat. We must say that the Ukrainians have already created dozens of memes and jokes about a nuclear explosion. For example, as separate Telegram channel members agreed to get on Shekavytsia Mount in Kiev and organize an orgy in the case of a nuclear attack, like if there is nothing left to lose. But jokes aside, the topic is real. It looks like society was divided in two categories: those trying to make some preparations and those who think it will not make any difference. Ola lives in Kiev. She packed a separate nuclear backpack, although she would never want to use it.
I've been collecting it myself. I've taken into account the bits of advice from the social media experts. Surprisingly, they're mostly TikTok tips. And in general, they are very simple and illustrative and very clear. I've started by looking for potassium iodide in the pharmacies around my house. I didn't find it right away, just somewhere in the third pharmacy. But I bought it. It was about 250 hryvnias. And from that, I started my work on filling this backpack. First, I saw that I have some things I might need in the event of the nuclear threat. For example, raincoats, from which you can make an improvised protective suit. For them, I bought reinforced tape so that in case of danger, I could pack it tightly and ruin the sleeves, where the neck is, to make such a costume. I also had rubber gloves. I put them inside as well. Then I ordered some masks and respirators, 10 pieces of them. If anyone in the shelter also needs a respirator, it will be possible to share. In addition, I also bought these large garbage bags for this very case, if I need to make an improvised protective suit. Then I bought swim goggles. They will be needed to protect my eyes. Among the essentials, what I didn't have was a battery-operated radio. I found it on the internet for 300 hryvnias. A radio will be needed to catch the signal of emergency services in case of nuclear explosion. The electronics will most likely to fail. Therefore, this device is very important. I also put a flashlight. I had bought some batteries. To be honest, I'm still buying and putting them in my backpack. As a nutrition, according to all recommendation, we will have to spend several days in the shelter without going to the service. So there should be a bottle of water in the backpack. I have one with the capacity of 2 liters and a metal cup for myself, so that I can heat water and cook some food. To do this, I bought candles in the form of tablets and put a lighter in the kit. This will help heat a certain amount of water and quickly prepare a soup that can be steamed, porridge, or noodles. I also put a can and a spoon. That's about food. I have a separate first aid kit for medicine, but that should also be provided. Perhaps some percute pills or painkillers. And I also put an antiseptic, because it will not be possible to wash hands and napkins for different types, wet and dry, and everything that may be needed for hygiene. Also, I put some cash in, so I would have it. After all, withdrawing from an ATM is unlikely to work. Internet and electronic devices will not work. That's how I packed a backpack to sit in the shelter for a few days. There won't be enough for more.
Ola's backpack is not fully packed yet. But can you ever say that you are ready for a nuclear attack?
Що я можу сказати, що чим більше...
I can say that the more you look at the recommendation for collecting such suitcase, the more anxiety areas that you do not have everything you need. It turns into some kind of addiction or a game where you want to add something more. And this backpack turns into two different backpacks. So I'm trying to stop myself from going completely crazy. I reassured myself that this was enough for me. Everything will be fine, and all this is to make me feel more at peace. Of course, I should also prepare a change of clothes, which I can take with me. A dosimeter that would measure the level of radiation may still be needed. I don't have it, but I'm thinking of ordering one. One helpful tip: maps, printed out. Perhaps they will be needed so that later, when it is possible to go to the surface and move somewhere, I will know where to go. For those who do not know the way well, I must say that I hadn't prepared anything for February 24th, but I have collected the first things I came across, and it seems to me that the presence of such a backpack still calms me down. At least there is a plan of action, and there is an option that I will follow it. There are people much better prepared, but I think that even with this kit, I can handle any threats. I hope I won't need it, and I will take this backpack and go camping soon. And remember these strange times we live in right now.
Ці дивні часи, в яких ми живемо зараз.
Recommendations regarding the contents of the nuclear backpack are spread in the various social networks, using multiple arguments about what will be needed during the attack. At the same time, the Ministry of Education of Ukraine has developed recommendations for students studying in offline schools. By the way, if you want to know more about how the schooling process under war is organized in Ukraine, you can listen to our previous episodes. There you can find the stories from two school principals, one from the occupied village in Kherson region and the other one from Mariupol. Or listen to teachers and parents about Ukraine's current schooling situation. So, the Ministry of Education of Ukraine recommends students have water in their emergency suitcases, nutritional bars or snacks in hermetically sealed packages, a note from parents with the child's full name, the contacts of parents or close relatives, the phone if possible, charger and power bank, an individual set of necessary medicines, respirators of course, a supply for several days, changeable underwear and clothes, a sleeping bag if the institution does not provide them, and a favorite toy or thing. In the case of a nuclear explosion, children must stay in shelters till the danger is over. Parents will not be able to pick them up until the authorities notify them of such a possibility. Oleg, who also lives in Kiev, does not pack any suitcases and considers it unworkable.
Чому я вирішив не збирати ядерну валізку?
Why have I decided not to pack a survival kit? I even didn't pack an emergency kit on February 24 and before that. Since I plan to stay in Kiev no matter the circumstances, I decided not to do that. Why pack if you're not going anywhere? Regarding the possible nuclear threat, maybe you would think that's some kind of fatalism, but it seems that if a nuclear bomb explodes in Kiev or nearby, then there's no sense in such a kit. Whatever you put together most likely won't help, as the nuclear explosion will be really strong. Even if you hide in shelter, why would you need documents for an apartment that it's no longer there? That's what I think. I'm quite skeptical about this. First of all, I think the most important thing is to survive, and everything else can be revealed later. If I survive, it will be fine already. I'm not attached to material things. As for water or food, in general, I always have them. I have water and long-term storage products. I did not make additional supplies. I still have a gas mask. Maybe there should be something else. I don't know.
Можна якось віднести до цього.
It is known that in case of a possible nuclear accident, it is recommended to use potassium iodide. We must say that this medicine is available in most pharmacies in the capital and other cities. Pharmacist Irina Lutsenko works in one of the pharmacies in the city of Uman and notes that potassium iodide is still popular among customers.
Стосовно калію йодиду в таблетках. Regarding potassium iodide, 120 milligrams, it has now started to appear in pharmacies in small quantities. Every time we get it, it quickly disappears from the shelves. In the worst-case scenario, people under 40 will need to take it first because the cells of the thyroid gland are the first to be exposed to the radiation. And to protect this group of people under 40, in some sources it's said that under 45, it's obligatory to take 1 pill of potassium iodide. Ideally, you should take a pill before the explosion or 6 hours after. So why it is not necessary to take potassium iodide after 45? The cells of the thyroid gland of such people undergo involution, and as a result, the effect on the thyroid gland will be minimal. The most vulnerable group of patients are children and youth, as well as pregnant and lactating women. It is required to check the dosage of potassium iodide. If we talk about medicines such as iodomarine, the dose of iodide in it is 200 micrograms. If we calculate it in milligrams, then it is 0.02 milligrams. It turns out that in the case of a nuclear explosion, you would need to take about 500 pills. That's why it is very important to buy potassium iodide. Many healthcare and governmental institutions are already provided with these pills, so in case of such unpleasant events, well, we still hope that it will not happen. I think people will be provided with medicine for free. But as you know, better safe than sorry.
We used to find people building bunkers and preparing for the end of the world a little weird. But we may find ourselves in a situation where every Ukrainian now dream of their own bomb shelter. After years and years of neighborliness, what Russia really can do is surprise us with new ways of killing Ukrainian people. However, we, Ukrainians, continue to live and fight. What about you? Catherine Litvinchova was with you. Stay safe and listen to Ukrainians. This second season of UA The Day That We Survived podcast is implemented with the support of the Embassy of Czech Republic in Ukraine.